As with every important decision in life, the decision of how and when to reopen our beloved shul in this time is driven by values. And the values that we cherish are really what guides us in terms of how and when we reopen Eitz Chaim. So the first value I want to talk about that we're paying very close attention to is the value of a Chai B'Hem. And you shall live with it, and the rabbis teach not only is Pikuach Nefesh, saving a life, override virtually any mitzvah in the Torah, but even Safik Pikuach Nefesh, when it's in a doubt, we say that trumps any mitzvah in the Torah, with some exceptions. And in this particular instance, it may be easy to forget how serious this unpredictable virus is, because we were fortunate to have been spared the brunt of it here in our local community. But we have to remember that it is still very much a compelling factor to consider. Personally, I have an uncle that has been in and out of the ICU since Pesach, and he's back now in the ICU and fighting for his life from the virus. So we have to go ahead and take that into consideration. The second value that we're talking about is, of course, the value of Tefillah B'tzibur, communal prayer, a community coming together to say, Amen Yehei Shmei Rabbah, may the great name of Hashem be blessed forever and ever, has such power and such exponential effect in the spiritual realm that we can't even grasp it. So it's extremely important. The question is, how do we go ahead and balance these two ideals? So in every phase, back in March when we closed, we followed the approach of all the great sages, which said that the issue of pikuach nefesh, of public health safety, outweighs the mitzvah of communal prayer. At this point, it's not as glaring as it was in the middle of March, but it's still a factor. So we're going in a slow, phased reopening. And every step of the way, we want to make sure that there's no spike in the community, there's no spike in the larger community. Hospitalizations and infections are at a certain level in order for us to go ahead and keep moving forward. So that is really where we are. So I'm happy and pleased to announce that we're excited to go to the next level of starting to daven Shacharis as well, the morning minyan in our parking lot. So now we'll be having Shacharis Mincha and Marv in our parking lot, beginning with tomorrow morning, which is Wednesday, June 3rd. And God willing, we hope to be back in our building where I'm standing now, not just by myself, but surrounded by people for weekday minyanim, and then in the very near future after that for Shabbos minyan. We're having active plans of how to make sure that there's appropriate measures taking place here in the shul so we can move back in a safe and responsible way. So these values are guiding us, the mitzvah of Tefillah B'tzibur, public prayer, and of course the inyan of a Chai B'Hem, the topic of you shall live with it, the mitzvah of maintaining public safety. There's a distinct third idea that does not measure up to those two values, although we're not opposed to it, but that is something I know that's frustrating to everybody, including myself, and that is the issue of convenience. We don't always have the minyans the way we like it or are accustomed to, standing outside with a mask. There are issues that interfere with coming into a shul in an air-conditioned room, just sitting down by yourself, and it's not as convenient as that. I understand that, and it's challenging, but we have to remember that we subscribe, in this case, to the two higher values of what I mentioned earlier, of Chai B'Hem and communal prayer. And God willing, if we go ahead and we internalize these values in our decision-making process, in the very near future, we'll be back here in the shul, Anoshim, Noshim, V'taf, men, women, and children, in a healthy way, filled with gesund and happiness and peace. And I look forward to that very day in the next little while. And at this point, I also want to thank everybody for their support and patience in this very delicate time. Thank you.